Hello, world. Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show, the LGBTQ channel that discusses LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ approach and in an LGBTQ planet, and also a humanistic approach because we are all human beings. And my oh my, the news has come, and it is victorious news for the Democrats who have taken the House. And even though the Republicans have taken the Senate, we are very happy for the Democrats taking the House because when you come and look at the uh, at the policies and how things have been done in America, I would prefer a Democrat in the White House. Of course, would prefer a Democrat in the White House. Of course, I already explained my stance in my other videos, how I was a very ardent and still a strong ardent supporter of Obama and Hillary Clinton. I I wished her well in 2016 and wanted her to win the election, and of course she didn't win, and Trump won. And of course we gave Trump some time, and but I felt like no, I didn't like I don't like Trump's policies, even though he may be having successes economically, and reason being he's very more conservative. He's more conservative when it comes to economics, and I take the liberal approach of economics. And then his policies towards LGBTQ people has also been horrendous and horrific, including what has just happened, whereby the transgenders are not going to be recognized. I highly disregard that move by the Trump administration. So, with all of those things that he has done, I prefer the Democrats being in charge. And reason being, they are more progressive. Of course, even Democrats have their issues, but they are more progressive. They are progressive on women rights, they are progressive on LGBTQ rights, they are progressive on race, they are progressive. They've done a good job on minority issues. You know, they listen to Muslims, they listen to the small, to the immigrants. They have a more approach to immigration. Now, for the Republicans, they have a less humane approach because they are very nationalistic. They're uh, uh, very closed on immigration. They're very rigid. You know, they're not flexible people, and that's not me. Even personally, when you know me as a person, I'm very flexible. I'm very liberal with people. um I let you have your space. You know, that's how you should be. You don't attack somebody. Like, you see, when you attack transgenders, basically you are saying that you are not happy with how they're living their life, and you want to live their life for them, and that's not how you do it. You let somebody be who they are. If you are a transgender, be live your life, and the government should take care of each and every citizen. Transgenders are also citizens, so give them what they need. Give them what they need. If they want the surgery and all of that, make policies for them. But if you are an administration that is very discriminative against a group of people, because I was even discussing with someone, you don't have to be discrimination towards another person A and discrimination towards person C is still discrimination. Yes. If you discriminate against a transgender, you can't say that it's not the same as discriminating against a black person. It's the same. That's why even black people who are homophobic or transphobic, there is no difference from them, from a white person who is racist, because you both of you are discriminatory. You see, so if you are a black person, you also should not discriminate against somebody else. And if you're a white person, you should also not discriminate against somebody else. That's how it is. And if you do so, if you discriminate, you will be like them. And for me, that's why I like Democrats and I like Obama. As you know, my videos are there, enough of them. Even my old channel was, I used to call it, it was a praise channel for Barack Obama. And it's because you could tell what he was standing for. And he's a guy who is pro, when what he says is what he does. That's Obama. And that's why people are struggling with Trump. They're struggling with Trump because Trump really doesn't say what he says, he doesn't do. But you have to understand, as I said in the other video, presidents are different. People are different. Some people tend to be like that. They just tend to be. They are not straightforward when it comes to things. And others are very straightforward. That's so just understand that's who Trump is. But the problem about Trump we're having is, and this is going to be a very interesting video because we want to study what's next for America and what's next for the world. Because what has happened is the American election is very important. Of course, people, personally, I never used to pay attention to it. And had I paid attention, I think I would have advised Obama that the Democratic Party was going to collapse in 2016 as it did when it lost the presidential election. Because that year, no, 2014 was when they had the midterm elections. Personally, I was so busy, I don't think I remember. It was a year when Uganda had just passed the anti-homosexuality bill. So many things were happening in Africa that time, especially where I was. So I knew what was happening. So I wasn't really paying attention to what's happening in America. And but had I known and found out the House population, which in that year it went to the Democrats, to the Republicans, then I would have seen Obama, Democrat, there would be no Democratic president in 2016. I would have predicted, because I predicted Democrats winning the presidential election in 2016. I gave it to Hillary Clinton. And it's not prediction, it was my support. It's not, there's a difference between prediction and support. Prediction is someone is going to become president and it's going to be Hillary Clinton or it's going to be Donald Trump. Those are predictions. Those are not, that's not support. But mine was not necessarily a prediction. It was a support. So what I used to do is pick people who are predicting that Hillary Clinton would win. So when I said I remember it was in Facebook, I said Hillary Clinton will win the ticket and she'll also win the election. She'll be the first female president. That was a prediction, but it was my support. My support was I stood for the democratic values, the values of the Democrat Party. I stood for them. They stand with LGBTQ persons. They stand with minorities. They have a very liberal economic agenda, whereby welfare is there. There's good taxation to keep government programs going. And even Elizabeth Warren, look at her, and she's a Democrat. She really understands tax law. But look, she's an enemy of Trump. Yes, because economically, they don't see eye to eye. Trump is anti-tax. And very many people are anti-tax. So that's why some people are enjoying, and you see, and they supported, they like the fact that they think the economy growing. But whenever you have an economic policy, you must have not only a short-term plan, but even a long-term plan. What's the long-term plan of denying money, of lowering revenue? What's the long-term plan of it? The long-term plan or the long-term effect of lowering tax revenue is that certain government services will be cut off. You see, that's the problem. That's why even the tax reform by Trump was so rushed. They needed to have given you know, outcomes and shown people that this is what's going to happen 10, 20 years. If we keep this tax regime like this is what's going to happen. But the beauty of politics is you can change laws, you can change policies, presidents change. I mean, people, governments change. Like now, look at the House of the Senate, and I mean the House of Representatives. This has already changed. Just 2 years, it was Republican. Now 2 years, it's Democrat. You see. So the beauty of politics is that things change, policies change. So that's the understanding. Now let's analyze what has happened in America. What next? Number one, let us look at the American system. As I've told you, we are progressive beings, or we can be progressive beings much as we can be retrogressive, and much as we can be oscillative, and much as we can be stagnant. You know, there's some people who are stagnant. There is no progress, there is no regress. They're just there. Like a mountain. It's just no movement at all. Some people are stagnant. Other people are oscillative. They are progressive tomorrow, then tomorrow they're retrogressive. Then others are just progressive. They just go. And then others are retrogressive. They go back. They do things always in retrospect. So and so you what I'm trying to say is, let's look at the American structure before we say what's next. The American, as I told you, I'm a progressive. I can be all of those things because all of us have potential to be. You can even be stagnant. You can choose just to stay one place and never move again. So I can be any of those. But what I'm trying to say is that a few years ago, what I'm appreciating about life is, a few years ago, I was I didn't know a lot about American politics. But as years have gone on, I'm knowing more and more and more and more thanks to the internet. And now my knowledge is better and sharper than 2014. Because 2014 I was still an LGBTQ activist and global. I support, I'm a globalist. I'm not a nationalist. I support international relationships. I don't support, I'm not a very nationalistic person. I don't believe in nationalism. It's divisive and very, very narrow-minded. I prefer globalism. Globalism is good because you get to know very many things about people. So that's my stance on that. Anyway, I got better and better. And all of us should be doing that. You should get better in the things you know. Get better and better and better. Now, I've realized today, in 2014, I didn't know, I thought the American election system or the American political system goes through massive change at the presidential elections, which happens every 4 years, after every 4 years. But today, I have come and I've hit another eureka revelation, and I've realized actually the American political system goes through massive changes after every 2 years. So that realization is so powerful and so crucial, because when Obama came to the presidency, it's when I started taking keen. I was keen about American politics when Obama came in. George Bush, I was a bit keen, but I was young that time, so I didn't really understand American politics that well. But with Obama, I started becoming clear, because even age, when you grow up, you also progress. So you get better and better even in knowledge. So when Obama was in the presidency, it's when I started reading about American politics properly, and then getting to know the system. There's a House of Congress, and has representatives and the Senate. Now, but the thing that happened is most people took elections to be most people think that the most important election is the presidential election. And guess what? That is exactly how the millennials think, young people. You see, Obama, during this time of campaigning, he told young people that um, they should be getting to vote in midterm elections because there was a tradition. The tradition was young people don't really value midterm elections. And not only young people, the general population don't really like voting. And so during the midterm elections. And so people don't pay attention to it. But midterm elections became very important during Obama's time because when Obama won the second term, it shook and scared very many Republicans or conservative voters because now they saw Obama really had clout. So between 2012 and 2014, they worked their socks off to get the House. Now, the Obama, even I remember the article I wrote when Obama won the second term, and I said that Obama, this is a sign that the GOP is dead. You know, it's dead, it's gone. The conservative voters are gone. The young people are going to belong to the Democratic Party. And America is going to become a democratic nation. I remember writing that. And reason being, Obama got a second term. So it was a clear sign he was going to get a decade of Obama. You know, Trump hasn't finished a decade yet. He's not even finished 4 years. He has a long way to go. So it is 10 versus 2 years. Yes, roughly 10 years. Of course, it's 8 years exactly, but it's roughly 10 years versus 2 years, or 10 years versus 4 years. So he's still he's in an Obama White House that he's trying to paint other colors. You know, nationalist, trying homophobic, transphobic. He's trying to repaint the house because if it was a Democrat, if Hillary Clinton won the election, she would have not repainted the house. The house was already pro LGBTQ, pro women, more global, less nationalistic, you know, anti Russia. You know, that was Obama was hated by Russia because even Putin could not deal with him. And now Hillary was the worst. In fact, that's why people say Russia interfered with the American election because they didn't want to see Hillary. And Hillary had clout because the young people were with Obama. And so that was how the lever was changed. I mean, look at the fact that young people were with Obama is evident that through Hillary winning the popular vote. She got 3 million votes more than Trump. That's a lot. It's a very big gap. And Trump was saved by the Electoral College that is made up of mostly middle-aged people, not young people. So what does this mean? The young people are rising up again. And now when you look, so what am I saying in all of that? Let's look at the structure. So unlike the 4-year change, actually America is a country of 2-year change. And it's not a country of 4-year changes. So what does this mean? Actually the presidential power is always evaluated after every 2 years. This midterm election that has happened is an evaluation of Trump over the 2 years. Over the 2 years he's been in power. It's an evaluation. So if Trump is a political strategist, he will sit down and look and see why did they lose their house. I have already told you why they lost their house. The policies that Trump has of attacking transgenders and then immigration policies and all of those things, they are coming for him through the Democrats taking over the House. Now, even they've even said right now in the media that the states that have won under Trump, they won because Trump went to campaign there. And when you look at the margins of the wins, it's 50%. So roughly every state is now divided. It's 50%, 50-50. 50% Democrat, 50% Republican. That's what America has now become. And that means the election of 2020 is going to be grueling because it is 50-50%. Other countries, like I was just reading about Ethiopia, because they now have a female president, but she's a mostly ceremonial. I'm reading about Ethiopia, and Ethiopia has no opposition member of parliament. That's not a democracy. It's gone. It's not a democracy. It's just a country. It's just is a unitarian government. Because if you don't have an opposition member of parliament, what are you doing? I mean, where is the democracy? Because it means maybe there is democracy, but it's a unitarian democracy whereby we all belong in one party, but we discuss issues. We may have different views of different political views. So we'll talk about that when you're talking about Ethiopia, whereby for you to be a democracy, you don't necessarily have to have very many parties. You can even have one party, but when you have parliamentary sessions, people take different sides on the issue. And people can decide, like, if you want to make a law for this, they decide this and this, blah, 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 blah. And then somebody gives another desire or opinion. And then after that, people discuss the opinion, and the best opinion wins and becomes the law. So, and all of you in one party, you see, unitarian. But these ones we have where we have bipartisan democracies and multipartisan democracies, whereby you have very many parties. There is more division, there's more divisiveness, and people, when you vote, when voting happens in a multi-party system, it's very easy to predict because you will know all the Democrats will go to this side, all the Republicans will go to that side. So basically, it's very easy for you to know where people will go. But in a unitarian democracy, it's a bit hard because everybody's in one party. So when voting happens, you can't even predict which side will take it. So anyway, we'll talk about that when we talk about Ethiopia. Now let's talk about America. So what have we concluded after studying the structure? That America changes every 2 years, or it has an opportunity of changing its mind after every 2 years, and no more end of the notion or the belief that America changes its mind after every 4 years, or it can only change its mind after every 4 years. No. America now, it's my discovery. Maybe some people knew it, but personally I didn't know it, but I've known it today, that America can change its mind after every 2 years. And what does that mean? It means everything, because it affects, even right now that the House has been taken over by the Democrats. It means that there will be a struggle to, number one, when Democrats pass laws, I mean, the representatives pass a law or a bill and it goes to the Senate. Because the Senate is Republican, they may not accept it. So you see, the main thing the Democrats should have taken was the Senate, so that when the laws go there from the representatives, the House of Representatives, they can have support from some senators who belong to them. So, and that's why I think Trump calculated that he's not able to win he went for the Senate seats. That's why he went to Texas. He went to specific states, because he knew he was in trouble with the representatives. So what he did, let me go to strong Republican states and keep my senators, so that if there's any attack from the Democrats, I will use the senators as a shield. So now That's why even if they want to impeach, Trump from the House, he will just bring the senators. So he's using the senators as a shield, protecting himself. So, and secondly, he wants to even have the executive orders, and he's going to do the executive order. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that every election counts, especially this type of it. The midterm elections is actually a very crucial election because it can either empower a president or it can disempower a president. So Trump can be has been a bit he has been disempowered legislatively because Democrats want to. They will have their bills. They can make their bills, the House of Representatives. But executively, he has not been disempowered because he will use the senators. He will rally them to always protect him from any policy Democrats want to pass to remove him. And then he has, futuristically, he could be disempowered because it's a sign the Democrats are coming. We've got the House. And now we are telling you, because Democrats do very well in the election in 2020 or in 2016. They did well. The popular vote was a Democrat. Yes, they won. So, popularly, as things stand, popularly, America is a democratic country. It's a Democrat country. If the popular vote was Republican, then you could say Americans have shifted to the right. But so far, the popular notion, the popular voice is they have shifted to the left. You know, Beyonce, to the left, to the left. So that's what's happened to the people. And so now Trump has to think. That's if you have to think. But I am not for Trump. I've told you, Trump really he has not done well with the LGBTQ community at all. He needed, if he really wants to get votes. But what I understand is the LGBTQ people are more Democrat than Republican. And the LGBT persons I know who are in the Republican Party are few compared to those who are in the Democrat Party. The number of blacks who are in the Republican Party are few compared to the ones who are in the Democrat Party. So basically, America is very easy to that's why white nationalists like the Republican Party. Which white nationalists have you seen liking Democrats? Yeah, they're not there. They hate them. They hate Democrats because they don't stand for nationalism. They stand for multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is globalism, is globalization, because the whole globe is diverse. When you're a nationalist, you are not diverse. You are very stuck to your people, your tribe. That's a nationalist. But a globalist includes everybody. All right. So we've said, number one, we've said America has that system. Every 2 years they change, because do you know what would have happened this time? Even Democrats would have won the Senate. Yes. They would have won the Senate, they would have won the House. What does that mean? Trump would have been impeached. That's what it means. Yes, if the Democrats also won the Senate and with landslide, you see, Trump would have been impeached easily. So what am I trying to tell you? That being a president in America, your lifespan is 2 years. After every 2 years, things change. In the 2 terms you're allowed to have, you can have, and those 2 terms being 8 years. In that 8-year cycle, there are 2-year cycles that can affect you in one way or another. Like what I said about Obama, he was affected in the last, when he became president in the second term, meaning he had finished 4 years. In the second year cycle of the second phase of 4 years, he lost the House. And that should have been a sign to the Democrats that they are going to lose the presidency. And that's exactly what happened. the presidency went to the Republicans in a narrow way, very narrow. It was electoral college that messed up the Democrats. Otherwise, popularly, they won. Why did they win popularly? Because Democrats didn't have the culture of going to vote in midterm elections. If they had that culture, believe you me, Hillary Clinton was going to be president, because the midterm election of 2014, if Democrats had the culture of going to vote, they would have voted, and both houses would have been democratic. And when the houses are both democratic, the policies will be democratic, and Obama will not even would not have done many executive orders. Everything would have come through the House, and basically he would hand over to a Democrat like Hillary Clinton, and she would have been president by now. That's what happened. So you can see, actually, what we are seeing today is what happened in 2014. So now for the Republicans, they have to think about their stance on very many issues. Of course, immigration is a very tough issue, not only in America, but in the whole world. Absolutely. In fact, right now, the hardest issue the politicians of the world are facing is nationalism. Countries are being divided. Should we be nationalistic or globalist? And I was telling somebody recently that the problem that's happening in the world, we are actually in a precarious time worldwide. Please understand that politically, very many countries are not politically stable, especially Western countries. And Western countries are very important in the world system. You know, it's like the human body. We are a human body. The whole world is like a human body. So if the head is affected, if my hand is cut off because of something, I'll still be able to talk and do the video because it's only my hand that has been lost. But if my head was cut off, believe you me, there's no way I'll do a video right now. I would be dead. So what am I trying to say? There are some body parts that are very crucial to the human body. Other body parts are crucial, but not crucial than other body parts. Meaning if you lose them, it's okay. You've not really lost something. But when you lose the head, like this one, which has the brain and everything, you're dead. And so that's what it is, even politically. In the world of politics, the Western system, the Western economies tend to be very important because they are highly developed and highly advanced in very many areas of life. So when things go wrong in those countries, then it will go wrong for everyone. Yes, like remember the famous saying, when America sneezes, the whole world catches a cold. It's true. It's because America is very important. I mean, if Papua New Guinea collapses and sinks, will the world stop? No. It's a fact. Papua New Guinea is nowhere near America's stature. But if America has problems, then the whole world will have problems. If the American economy, like the American economy when it collapsed in 2007, 2008, the recession, the whole world went into recession. But Zimbabwe, when it had the inflation problems, the world was going on. People were getting richer. That's the reality. Some nations are more greater and important than others. Why? Because of their structure and their function in the system. Practically every country in the world is very, very connected to America in very many ways. So that is why America is great. But Papua New Guinea, there are some countries that even think, what are we going to do there? Do we really need to go there? Go and count the embassies there. There are not so many. It's because it's Papua New Guinea. But America, everybody has insisted to have something there because there's money. And so that's it. So now what I was trying to say is that because of that, when the Western world has problems, like now the problem they're having is immigration and nationalism. You see, Brexit is clearly nationalistic tendencies in Britain. Trump taking troops to the border of Mexico is clearly nationalistic tendencies in America. So what does that mean? That is a sign that there is something happening in the West that is very scary. Number one, it could be multiculturalism is in trouble, and that's globalization. Number two, all of this integration, cultural integration, diversity, LGBTQ. Yes, it's very important because it means if you cannot tolerate foreigners, then you have a discriminative system. Then fourthly, the Arab world, the Muslim Arab world, it's not like the Western world. And the Western world is worried. It's saying, are you really becoming like us? Like, you see what happened in Saudi Arabia when women now are allowed to go to the stadium and women are allowed to drive. You see, that is a sign that these days I'm stopping to call it westernization. I am ceasing to call it westernization. It's actually globalization. So Saudi Arabia is becoming more and more of a global country in the sense that it's allowing women to drive, allowing women to go to the stadium, and then very soon they may even allow Western women to work in Saudi Arabia the way they want, which they don't do because of religious purposes. The religious reasons that they don't want people to be sexually provoked. So you should cover your body. If you're a woman, you cover your whole body. So even if it's blazing hot, can you imagine why should you cover your body and it's blazing hot? Why? It doesn't make sense. These people value religion more than science. It's so funny because people value religion more than science. I know it's what people they love their religion, but it's very funny. No, you should be very relaxed. Be more scientific than religious. Yes. Because do you see God every day? Do you see him? I know you love him, but do you see him? Does he come and talk to you and appear and do? No. But you see science every day. So stay close to science, even if you're religious. Be more scientific. Make your science side more strong than your religious side, even though your religious side makes you happy. Yes, it's okay. I'm not attacking those who are religious. I'm just saying, ask yourself some questions. Yeah, you don't see God physically every day. Yes. But if you pray to him and it makes you happy, do it. But don't be so lost in religion, because if you are lost in it, you'll be out of touch. You're not in this world. You'll be out of reality. And that's what has happened in America. The Republican administration or Trump administration is so fixated on religious. You see, the reason why they're transphobic is not based on science. It's based on religion. The reason they're homophobic is not based on science. It is based on religion. Someone has told them the Bible says, and I mean, China, do they even follow the Bible? Now, what happens when Chinese Americans come to your country and they are clever? They can work in China, they work, and they are gay. What are you going to do? Are you going to chase them away because they are gay? Because the Bible says being gay is bad? You see, it's wrong. You don't do it that way. You make policies based on science. Yes, so transgenders, science has proved they exist. So don't give them their rights. Simple. You don't use the Bible to make policy at all. The other video I told you, nobody passed physics reading the Bible. Yes, nobody at all. There is no physics law in the Bible. There is no biology law in the Bible. The Bible is the worst science textbook. Yes. It's the best book, it's the best textbook for spirituality. If you want to be spiritual, read the Bible, read the Quran. But if you want to be a physicist, if you want to be a biologist, please go and read textbooks of biology and physics. You will pass. But you believe me, you won't pass when you know Matthew and Luke and Isaiah. No offense, I'm just saying it that way. I know it may sound a bit harsh. I'm sorry if it comes out that way, but that's the reality. So, and that's what I'm saying. That's what is happening to the Republican administration. It is too bent on religion, and that's what I always say. I told Trump on Twitter. I tweeted to him. I'll always say that. Stay with scientists. Stay with them. And proper scientists. Not there are these scientists who they put religion first. Those are quacks. Those are not good scientists. A good scientist, science is number one. Religion, because the fact is, religion always serves science. Yes, religion always serves science. And so you don't, that's why a good scientist cannot be homophobic. If you are a homophobic scientist, you are a bad scientist. If you are a transphobic scientist, you are a bad scientist. If you are a racist scientist, you are a bad scientist. You're not good. Yes, because how can a scientist be racist when science has clearly proved that there are diverse races, there are diverse genes? So what does that mean? There are many types of people. Because racism means only one race is good. That is what racism is. Only one race. The rest are bad. That's not scientific. In fact, in science, there's nothing like good or bad. Science is just science. Have you seen a gun? It's a scientific product. Yes, it's based on physics, based on art, and based on physics and art. A gun has good and bad uses. So it's not just, it's good and bad. Everything in life is good and bad. That's why all of us are yin and yang. Yes, we have negative and positive charges. Everybody. That's why everybody is male and female. Yes, you have female hormones and you have male hormones, even if you're a man or a woman. Yes, that's a fact. So fire can destroy and create. We cook because of fire. But our houses can burn because of that same fire. So that's life. Life is made up of all those sides. And so you cannot come and make policies whereby you want it is only this angle that, good. Do you know why it was called eugenics? There's a difference between genetics and eugenics. Genetics is neither positive or negative genetics, or it includes both positive, neutral, and negative genetic science. Eugenics is called good genetics, and that one is racist. So when you read genetics, but don't be eugenic in your reading of genetics, because eugenicists believe they are good genes, and that's what happened in Nazi Germany. To them, good genes were the Aryan race, the white people, and the guys are Nordics, the guys who have blue eyes and blonde hair. And it's so weird. Hitler was nowhere near an Aryan. Actually, Hitler is a Jew. Yes, he's an E1B1. And that is a Jew. He was the same gene trait genetic group as Einstein, who was a Jew. And his library is in Israel. Can you imagine? They shared. And you can look at them. Look at Hitler. His mouth has a mustache, a short one, just like Einstein. And Hitler had black hair, just like Einstein when he was young. Even remember Charlie Chaplin? He also has his, you see? So he was a Jew. And but he was there saying supporting Aryan race, Aryan race, Aryan race, eugenics. So when they did eugenics, they studied, and eugenics became very strong because of Mendel. Mendel came and showed people that we are different genes, but he didn't know what they were. And then people now said, okay, if you're white, it means you have good genes. If you're black, you have bad genes. And so that's when now prejudice was born. You know, people are now writing things and saying, there's the bell curve and all of these things, because people were using eugenics, not genetics. There's a very different thing. Genetic science is extremely important. Extremely important. Because genetic science will tell you why somebody is black, why somebody is like this. But eugenics will tell you that white skin is good or black skin is good. That one is wrong. That's not science. That is twisting science. Is using science for political reasons. And that's what eugenics is. But genetics is just genetic science. And we respect all the geneticists in the world who do not take their religion, they do not put religion, because religion is just a philosophy. It's a philosophical belief. So when you're a scientist, the most important thing you need to be neutral, because science has no religion. A Muslim can know physics just as well as a Christian, just as well as an atheist, just as well as a Hindu. So what does that mean? You don't need religion to be a good scientist. So if you want to be a very good scientist, be neutral. Just read science. Don't see. But what is Jesus trying to say here? Yes, there's a temptation. I know many scientists who are creationists. They believe, yes, it's okay, but you'll be biased. You'll be a biased scientist because you'll be reading, when you read about homosexuals, and you are in a homophobic religion, you will feel like, oh my God, but this is the reason. You know, maybe they got curses. They were cursed, and that's why they became gay. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's not true. It's not a curse. It's genetic. It's a genetic strain. That's who you are. It's hormonal. That's who you are. You were born, those hormones were when you were born. You had a lot of estrogen in you. So people should, anyway, that's my view, and not my view necessarily. That's how a scientist should be. You should be neutral. That's the best. You don't have a religion affecting your, and I'm going to talk about this in another video one time when I'm talking about prejudice. You see, judgment. What is a judge? Who is a judge? In the Bible, a judge is a god. You know, why is he a god? He knows everything. What happened in the Garden of Eden? They ate from the tree of knowledge. Before you go to good and evil, it was a tree of knowledge. And they were told, if you eat from that tree, you will become like a god. So gods are knowledgeable people. All of us are gods, but some are more god-like than others. Reason is they have more knowledge than others. That's why knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. If you know more, you will control more. Now, so when a judge, so why is a judge? A judge is a knowledgeable person. In fact, in the law courts, a judge has to know a lot of law for him to be a judge. Can you putting a vegetable seller or a retailer to be a judge, and they don't know the law, and they are going to judge a case of murder? It's just sacrilege. It's just unbelievable. You can't do that because the seller doesn't know the law. They will allow any lawyer to talk, and they'll say, oh yeah, oh, what happened? Okay, you, and then, but you're saying something else. That's not a judge. a judge is trained and given a lot of law to read, so that when he listens, he makes judgment. Judgments, all judgments in the world are based on knowledge. On knowledge. It's a very tricky subject, by the way. So now, when you study, when you know, you make, that's when you make judgment. Now, why have I said it's a tricky subject? I won't do it today, but I'll do it when I arrange it very well. People who are prejudiced, like if you're prejudiced to hate homosexuals or lesbians, prejudice, meaning you have a knowledge, it's a false knowledge that homosexuals are bad. That's the knowledge you have. It becomes what you call prejudice, prejudgment. And it's prejudgment, it's not based on evidence. Prejudice means judgment based without evidence. Judgment without evidence. You see? So people, they just see a black person, he's a criminal because he's black. There's no evidence. What crime has he committed? There's no evidence. Let this person commit a crime and then produce the evidence. Here is the evidence, he stole this and this thing, we found it in his possession and it belongs to somebody else. That is now what you call judgment. So there's prejudice, then there is judgment, judice, that's what you call judice, or now judiciary or judicial. Then you have, and it's basically prejudice and judgment, judice. And then what you call subjudice is discussing something that is still being judged. That's why there's a law of subjudice. You don't talk about a case that is being in the court, is in the court sanctums. Reason being, it is prone, subjudice is also a type of prejudice. You're trying to determine the judgment. You're trying to twist the judge. And I was telling somebody, if you look at a judge's life, they don't interact with people for a reason. Yes, they really control their interactions so that they are not fed with a lot of prejudice. But for the rest of the human population, oh my, we have so many prejudices. We have so many judgments, so many knowledge, false knowledge and true knowledge. So like the false knowledge that homosexuals are bad, no evidence. Then you become a judge and then a homosexual is brought before you. You will say, because they are bad, he's already bad. You see, that's what happened in America when there was racism. And they had a false knowledge. Or not, yes, a false knowledge it was. A false knowledge that black people were descendants of Ham. There was a very dangerous theology. And we'll talk about this in our theological channel, that some theologies, this is why the Catholic Church is the way it is. It is organized in the sense that they control the theological data in their system. Because if it is, you see why evangelicals and Pentecostals are so scattered. It's because anything is theological, any data, and it's true. That's a fact. So you're going to have very many denominations and many churches. You can start any church on anything, even to say that the wine is truly the blood of Jesus Christ, but the bread is not the body of Christ. And you have a church like that. You see? So, and then another one will say the bread is truly the body of Jesus Christ, but wine is not the blood of Jesus Christ because wine is alcoholic. And those two churches are next to each other and they are going on happily. You are allowed to pick each church you want. But if you go to the Catholic Church, it is the one doctrine, transubstantiation. The bread transforms into the body of Christ and the wine transforms into the blood of Christ. That is the Catholic doctrine. Nobody will argue with that. If you argue, you leave. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that many people have a lot of data, and we as humans, especially if you're not a judge, and you will have judgment about people. So if you are gay, 80% you will not attack your fellow gay person. because you're gay. See? But if you are straight, 80% you will attack a gay person because you're not gay. So what do? You help the straight person with knowledge. And that's what we are doing now. I was telling somebody recently, my strategy now in dealing with straight people is to talk to them slowly and cordially about understanding gay people. Because most people are homophobic because of lack of knowledge. Yes. Lack of knowledge. And that's why I like pornography. If you have a problem with homosexuals, please go and watch gay porn and see, especially if you've had sex. Yeah, so that's our discussion. That's how I'm doing now with straight people. I'm talking to them and telling them, getting every corner to let them understand that gay people exist naturally. And that's what is now happening in America. In fact, what should happen in America, the Republican Party needs a refresher course in science. Yes, they need it. Otherwise, it will collapse. I told you in 2014, 2012, 13, I wrote an article. And I said, even I think earlier than that, I said the GOP is dead because young people are going to be more Democrats. Reason being, Democrats at least give science a chance. If you don't give science a chance, believe you me, you'll become irrelevant as a party. Any political party in the world. If you don't give science a chance, you'll become irrelevant. Like sexual science, if you don't give the fact that homosexuals exist, you are going to become irrelevant. Reason being, the reality on the ground is that people are engaging in homosexual activity. And that has an effect on the economy, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, it has an effect because they are STDs. And it's not only them, it's not only homosexuals, even heterosexuals. Heterosexual activity has an effect on the economy. So you should be a government or a system that knows how many homosexuals do we have? How many heterosexuals do you have? Okay. What is happening? Where is the prevalence of a certain STD? Is it in the homosexual or in the heterosexual? Like I was telling somebody, why do you think women have high rates of HIV more than men? And yet homosexual men have a very high prevalence rate of HIV. It's because there are more women. Secondly, it's a sign there are more bisexuals. There are many bisexuals. I remember there's a lesbian we knew. She died of cervical cancer. I just told someone she was bisexual. Or she engaged with a man. Yes. So these are the things. Those are the data, realistic data, scientific. So if you're that scientific, believe me, you can't be homophobic. You won't. The cure for homophobia is science. It's knowledge. That's all. So anyway, guys, I've talked about American politics. There you are. That's what has happened to America. And every 2 years, America can change or can remain the same. And so today, America has changed in the sense that the Democrats are now telling the Republicans there is a war. So it's going to be a grueling 2 years from now till 2020. And we want to see what's going to happen. And I don't know what Obama is going to do. Congratulations to him. He did enough campaigning for the Democratic Party. Even though he is not in power, he did what he had to do. Yes, he has to keep his values and his vision and his dream for America working. That's what he had to do. And of course, I know the American political system is not like other countries. You know, in other countries, you can remain chairman of a party even if you're not president. But in America, Obama has no office now, so he's basically just. I mean, look at Oprah. Oprah, is she even a Democratic Party member? But she's a Democrat. But she did well. She went and helped Stacey Abrams try to win. And it's not the end. Even Stacey, though she didn't win, I wanted Stacey to win. It was going to be a very nice, interesting payback, in the sense that the slaves, descendants of slaves, are now even ruling. They can become governors of the states that were owned, that were slave controlled. That's beautiful. Can you imagine if Stacey Abrams enters the building that enslaved her ancestors? And you see, it's so symbolic. So anyway, she didn't win, but it's okay. She'll get another time, and maybe somebody else will win. But the fact is, on the racial side of American politics, blacks are going to begin to take over the southern states for a good reason. And even me, I've been asking myself, it's so weird. Most blacks remained in the southern states even after the Civil War. It's very strange. Meaning it was very hard to run away from the South. Very hard to run away from the South. And it's so. But what's going to happen is, okay, that one we'll talk about when we talk about Black America. Black America also has its stories and its data. And white America has its stories and its data. And Latino America has its stories and its data. Like right now, the immigration policies in America is affecting Latino Americans. So Latino America is going through a historic moment. I mean, black Americans are not going through anything because they are not being attacked by the government in that way. The focus now is on immigrants who happen to be from Latin America. So it means Latin American history, or Latino America, the Latino America, meaning the Americans who are Latino, of Latino origin, are going through a critical time in their life. Whether they can house, because what's going through the mind of a Latino American? He's asking himself, my own government does not want my relatives to come. Why? You see? So it's just that we don't, we don't engage with Latino Americans that much, even though, so that's why the issue is it's not really making noise, because, I mean, who else is there? I don't know if Marco Rubio has that blood from there. I don't know if it was Cuban or Latin American. But yeah, where are they to talk? They're not even in power. So this is a very big power struggle in America. They have already seen the Hispanics are going to rise. You see, the issue in America now is the Hispanic population, not necessarily the Muslim. Because the Muslim one, they have controlled it. They have already blocked their population. They have now controlled Muslim migration to America. Now, the second one they're trying to control is the Hispanic migration to America, which is very hard because there's a high number of Hispanics living in America. So it's a very interesting thing. We'll talk about it when we're talking about Hispanic America, or Latino America, not Latin America. Latin America is South America. But Latino America is the American population that is Latino. And there is something very hot happening there. We'll discuss that in other videos to come. Otherwise, that is our discussion of American politics. Very feisty, very interesting. And also another thing about American politics I want to say is, I'm not so happy with the ad hominem politics. There's that ad hominem, everybody's attacking they insult somebody. But that's how America is. I mean, when you watch American movies, you're an SOB and what they throw there, it's all ad hominem. You don't find these nice movies that, oh, You really are trying, but the data is saying that it shouldn't be like this, a scientific insult. They are not scientific. So there's no ad hominem. The American politics is so ad hominem. It's so, I am fighting you. It's you. You're bad. You're nonsense. You have nothing in your head. You're silly. You're everything, and it's part of life. Many people are ad hominem in life. Sometimes you're stupid. Get him out. Lock her up. All of that. America is very funny. So that's their politics. But the other countries, I mean, like Europe. Go and watch European politics. Finland, Norway. It's too issue based. Too issue based. The time you're looking for the word stupid in the transcript, you won't get it. So it's just life. We are diverse, and that's how we are. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. That was just off the cuff humor.